Hey, so I went to family reunion for Keller Williams, which is our big conference of the year. It is, well, gosh, I got there Saturday. I should have got there Friday. So basically, I could have been there for 5 days. So what did I get out of those days that I went? First off, I want to put in front of everybody, and when I say everybody, I know some of my clients are looking at this, as well as some agents. The big thing I do is make connections with people, and that is important. For instance, Amethyst out of, she's at Fort Liberty. I was trying to remember the new name of the base. And she's a good example. Now, I got to hang out with her where we're raising money. Great thing that's kind of going to take off, I'm sure, and it's going to be a big deal, is a get-together where we raise money to make the place we're at a little bit better after we leave, which I love. You know, it's kind of like camping, right? Not only are you to pack it in, pack it out, but what do you do? What is your footprint? Is it better than when you got there? And so we raised about about $21,000 in a very small group of people. I bet there wasn't 20 or so people. I don't know what. We were in a very small room. A good example is Mark King walked into this room, and I didn't know he was in the room. And I could see the door, and I could see the four corners, right? If I kind of looked high, I could see all that stuff. So it wasn't like this was some big room. And Mark was there, and I didn't know he was there until they handed the mic to him, and he spoke. And so I got to hang out with Amethyst for a sec. We got to see each other. Got to talk to Vinny out of San Diego. I met this new guy. I got to hang out with a lot of the real estate planner community, the military community, though, again, because I've been doing this from its inception, I'm kind of running into people that we've met before. And why is that important to you? As if you're an agent, is you got to realize it's about relationships. You know, it's kind of interesting. This guy is trying to start a new charity. I'm very interested in what he's trying to do. And I walked into the hallway. It was just he and I. Do you know he did not say a word to me until I said a word to him? And really, it should be the other way around, right? He should be trying to convince me to help him in his endeavor. So as agents, especially when we go to these, I see it all the time. People are reluctant to talk to other people. And I'm sorry, the way you act in that scenario is the way you're going to act out in the world. And how's your business going to be? Now, so that's agent. Now, clients, why do you care that I go to this? Because Amethyst has actually sent buyers to me, okay? The military community people will send buyers to me. And that means I put your properties in front of those people. Just by me being who I am, your property gets higher looks. Many of our YouTube videos, somebody being an agent in like Colorado Springs will say, "Oh, I saw that video of your property." Okay, they send people to here. So that's why that little tidbit's important. But let's move on. So I did go to the real estate planner, one of the events. They had several events. What was interesting there, I think, again, they were teaching us a lot about what it's like to be in that stage of life, which I am almost in that stage of life myself, but even these little things, I was kind of like, yeah, I got to think about that when I'm dealing with my clients. And I do already, but I think it just puts it higher up in my mindset. There was a lot of talk about us changing the way we are in business, and I really like it. I'm not going to go into the long bit here, but I'm not just an agent, folks. I'm so much more, because I study with these people how to deal with your particular real estate issues. Then we went to the CEO Summit. Now that's outside. It's kind of interesting. The other stuff is KW Normal. This is something new they've been doing, I think, since last family reunion. I missed that one, but I made Mega Camp and I made this. They bring in other speakers in this that are high quality, you know, as well as some of our typical KW personalities. I like Gary kind of pointed out something. Master a few things and life is big. And that flowed into this. Vince Lombardi would walk in. You got to remember, back in the day, he was an NFL coach. He'd walk in and he would hold up the ball and say, "Gentlemen, this is a football," to NFL players. And what he was saying to them was, forget all that fancy stuff. We're going to get focused on basics. And I think in this market, we have to start doing that. Sellers are still, a good example, sellers are still in COVID times. It's kind of funny. When we were going into COVID times, people would go, "I need to fix this." And I go, "No, you don't." Now I walk in and go, "You need to fix this." And they go, "No, I don't." Okay. That's because they were thinking COVID times. Yeah. I mean, guys, and I would make these jokes about this, but it was practically true. If you left the dog poo in the middle of the living room floor, I could still sell your house for tens of thousands of dollars above asking prices. Now, it is the exact opposite. That dog poop in the middle there is going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So I think Gary holding that example of Lombardi holding the football is very true. So again, agents, what do you need to focus on? The basics. You sellers, what do you need to focus on? We need to get back to the basics. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to have big problems in either selling your property or being an agent. Okay, so that was something that was very important. We're really focusing on that, showing you value. And as an agent, you need to show value, and there's a lot of stuff going on. In fact, Gary's going to do these classes called Value 2, Value Squared, which is important to our industry right now. In fact, if you're an agent, you would like to come and set in, we're doing that later in March here at my office. But as you, seller or buyer, Value Squared is going to have me verbalize what I am doing for you. I think a lot of people look up my commission and go, "What are you doing for that commission?" I'm doing a whole lot that you don't see. And we need to start focusing on that and showing that. So we keep going. I really like this. Drawing pictures of your future. And they had someone come on and say, "I drew those pictures." And I know this is pop psychology and some people kind of fight it, but this one guy walked on and said, "I had drawn the pictures of my future, and those things happened and so much more." So I thought that was pretty interesting concept, and I might sit down and start thinking about that with my kids and myself, and my wife, because I think we get too busy living or having life happening to us as opposed to the other way around, us happening to life. And that's a big thing with me right now. If it isn't to be, why not me? That was something Gary Keller said. Now, I know it's been said before, but when he said it, the way he said it, at the time he said it, I was going, yeah, what if it's to be like this guy that is going to build something that is very important in the Waco area? I hope to help him. If it's to be, if this is going to happen, then it has to happen because we make it happen. Why not me, right? So I just can think a lot about that. Then we got to Rory Vanden, Take the Stairs, and he wrote that, and Procrastinate on Purpose. I got to read those books. His big thing was building a brand, and I think we're going to focus on that again. Agents need to figure out your brand and go for it. Like I have a friend that's in real estate. His brand is this cowboy mystique thing that he's built, which he is that, by the way. He is that, and that's what he focuses on and what he builds on. People connect to that, and then they realize, oh, he's a great real estate professional. I need to list, buy, and invest with this guy, right? We had another speaker, Dr. Lyons. Now, Gary Keller, I think, is 4 years older than me. That would put him, about 64, 65-ish. And what's interesting is, he's always been Gary. I remember going up to International one time, and I kind of made a joke. They'd taken the vending machine out, which wasn't good for this purpose, is because a lot of the people like me that show up don't know that and haven't packed in our normal food that we eat. Gary and them, lunch was a chicken breast and some rice, and I can't remember, and a few steamed vegetables. It was a healthy choice, and I was okay with that. If you're going to be in his sphere, you better be healthy-ish in your attitudes. I'm going to get Dr. Lyons' book. I don't remember the title of it right now, but if you look it up, my wife and I are going to read it, and I think, I need to get healthy in my old age, and that was kind of the focus, because Gary and I are getting there in the old age area. I think it is Cody Sanchez, but don't quote me on that. She's about to write a book. It's coming out. I would encourage you to be on the lookout for it. It's something that she said, and is really, I started thinking about this on the drive-in today, was something, because somebody was talking about Warren Buffett. And what she says is, people buy themselves into being billionaires. The core that I got out of hers is that you need to think about buying wealth instead of working for wealth, if that makes sense. So kind of think about that. Ask and you shall receive was the first. There were 200 breakouts sessions, and I'm telling you what, that's a phenomenal number on it. And every session I went to, except for one, was standing room only. I would imagine about 15,000 KW agents probably showed up for this one. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than that. That room that we were in Vegas, I couldn't even see the front. I sat in the back because I'm kind of claustrophobic and don't like crowds like that. So I sat in the back. I couldn't even see the front from where I was standing or sitting. Okay. So the breakout sessions, ask and you shall receive. I got a whole lot of stuff. Of course, Hicks was there and talked about the promise, which a lot of people, I want to put this in front of my agent friends. When I try to teach this to my team, I noticed there's reluctance to do this. I don't know why. I haven't figured out the psychology of it, other than they don't want to have the tools that make them look good. And the promise, Hicks said, people, I know this sounds hokey, but it works. The guy has phenomenal business in a town that's half the size of the town I'm in. I couldn't imagine having his business in the town I'm in if I did what? The promise. Something as simple as the promise. And so there you go. Then let's see. What I found interesting was they get to a point that three people that talked, and Caroline pointed this out, is just basically her business is referral business, past clients. That is her business. She does not have to do the crazy stuff that other agents that are new to the business have to do. She's to a point now because she uses her ability to communicate to the referrals of past clients to her and her past clients to build this massive business now that pretty much feeds itself, because she does the form of the promise, but she also brings great value to their clients. Kind of reminds me of something else we need to be watching. Okay, so let's see. Went to a team thing. What was interesting, hired to your values and really use the systems in KW like career visioning. There's a lot of pushback I noticed on this, and I think what we have a tendency to do is, and this is for agents that are building teams that we need to really think about, because in this society right now, because we think there's not enough people to hire, and actually I think that is false. I think it is very likely that there are a lot of people that you can hire, and so this kind of attitude, and I have pushback on some of the companies I'm involved with when I go, hey, just don't hire people because they fog, here, breathe into this mirror for me. Okay, good, you're hired. That's not really what you need to do. First off, you need to have values for your company, and you need to hire to those values and use tools like career visioning. Okay, for instance, one of them, she had 6 core values, but 2 that stood out are they coachable? Are they willing to grow? And 1, are they taking notes? Or this was a minor one. Are they taking notes when they're talking to you or during the interview? Are they listening to what you say? Now, first I'm going to tell you that's interview process is not one interview. I hope you know this. My deal is to interview a couple of times so that hopefully at some point they're taking notes. Okay, this is stuff that Tony Robbins spoke, and what I got out of there is, if you're going to have high energy in your life, you've got to work at always having high energy, which is pretty interesting because most people will tell you I don't look like I have high energy. My facial looks like I'm mad all the time, which is kind of funny because yes, I am mad, but not all the time. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. It is how you are showing up. You need to really think about that. I got that out of Tony Robbins. Something that I thought was kind of interesting that happened in Tony Robbins is he came up. Now, you got to realize Tony, he's not one of my all faves, but look at like he cares what my attitude about him is. He's a Jim Rome disciple. Rome mentored him. So what I like about Tony is you can see the thoughts that Jim have, which I'm sure they didn't come out of, out of nothing, flow into Tony, okay? And that's this winter thing. Now we're in winter in real estate right now, buyers and sellers and agents. But spring, we need to be preparing for spring during the winter. We got to work a certain way during winter. And I thought that was very interesting talk, which, by the way, is a Jim Rome thought. In fact, there's some great videos where Jim has that speech, and it's an important speech for us to think about. Then I would say to you on Tony Robbins is I needed to hear what he had to say, even though I knew what he was going to say, because it needs to be reinforced. So I'm glad I got to see him. Gary sat us down and we talked about the statistics, which will be showing up in other videos, and we'll be talking. These will be much shorter videos than this one. I mean, this one's already almost 30 minutes. Those videos will be very short. In fact, we'll probably just talk about a slide or two that was talked about. Being a person that likes to look numbers like that, there was a lot going on. But here's the main one that I want everybody to understand. We are in a year like last year, or if not, a little worse. And I think people gotta realize that. So what we're gonna see is, you agents, we're gonna see less agents in there. So when spring shows back up, you and I are not gonna have any competition. We're gonna really take off. Buyers and sellers, how does this winter time affect you, this worst time? And guys, not worst time, but dang near close. If you go look at the numbers, some of these numbers have not been seen in 20, 30 years. Okay, we got to go back a long way to see these kind of numbers. And so we got to realize that is going on. So we had that kind of discussion back and forth on that, of all these crazy numbers, which is great. We had another great speaker that spoke, which is that I really liked. In fact, I got a lot out of it. Mel Robbins, not related to the first Robbins. And her big thing is, and you can go watch videos. In fact, she had a TV show evidently at one point. Her big thing is counting the backwards, the 5-second rule is what she calls it. And I was talking to my wife about it because it's so funny. I got up before she did this morning, and I said, okay, let's back up. So as a joke, she showed people have tattoos of her 5-second rule on, and I'm in Vegas, and people were wondering if I'm acting crazy in Vegas, which no, I was at work. I was there to earn money to go on vacation, not on a vacation. So no cray. I didn't gamble. Walked through the casinos. I don't know how many times. I walked through 3 casinos. No gambling, because I had to get on the other side of those casinos. And I don't drink. I kind of joked with somebody because they were going, "Hey, you got a joke?" And what did you say? Something about Coke and rum. Now I did have a soda, which I shouldn't have, by the way, but it was in a highball class, and I took a picture of it because it was a weird bar. It was weird where we went, and that was the only non-alcoholic drink. That's the reason I broke training there. And I took a picture of it and sent it back. Well, I took a picture of one of the tattoos, which I don't know. If I ever got a tattoo, I probably would get that tattoo. It was on the wrist. It was funny. I posted that because I'm against tattooing, by the way, to give you a little bit more about that. And kind of the comments back and forth. My wife said, that's not even your wrist, which is really funny because it wasn't. I took a picture of someone else's wrist tattoo and cropped it so it looked like mine. But Mel Robbins really was very interesting because it was about changing your mind. That goes back to Tony Robbins. Your mindset is going to determine your actions. Sometimes, yes, our actions determine our mindset, but really, to be honest with you, it is the other way around. And so she has the 5-second rule where you count backwards. And I told my wife, who was laying in bed, she goes, I don't want to get out of bed. I said, you got to do the 5-second. You need to count back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another thing that she came out that was very interesting that I need to really focus on is our state of feelings last about 90 seconds. I have a short fuse on my patience level is and it depends on the person, is very short with some people. With my clients, you guys can really, in fact, I kind of call it the patience well. You guys can dip a lot of water out of that, but there's other people in my life, that well is dry when they come to it. Now I'm kind of thinking, hey, I need to mellow in my old age and really think about that in that 90 seconds. Maybe let that go by when I'm about to pop a screw, right? I like this. All conflict begins with unfulfilled expectations. I think that's speaking of a tattoo Bill needs to put on them. Things to start doing, less of, more of, and to stop. He has this grid and where activities fall on that grid, decides where he needs to let leverage take over or quit it, and what activities he needs to pour more of himself into. That was pretty interesting. The concept of time, buying time back, is very interesting to me. Leverage, because I think what happens is we buy our time back to misuse it, if that makes sense. So when you're buying time back, I want you to make sure that when you're buying that time back, that you're doing the stuff back over here, things to do more of. Okay, so if I move contract to close to somebody else, and that frees up, let's say, an hour a day for me, that's 5 hours, then I need to do the activities that pay me more money, because Gary said that there's a guy that clears $500,000 a year in his real estate business, and he works 3 days, and on those 3 days he typically works 4 to 6 hours. That's his day. Okay, that's his week. And I was sitting there going, that's because he is so highly concentrated on this grid of the 4s that it makes him a better agent. Now, that's what I'm going to say to you, sellers and buyers. You want me thinking about this. You want me to be doing these things at a high level. Why? Because it helps you buy and sell and invest in real estate at a higher level as well. Does that make sense? Team building. What I thought was interesting, he had a concept of the utility box, and he had the basically, if his agents didn't do these activities, which are not crazy, I looked at it, and when he listed it and I was writing the list, I was like, you know what, this is the bare minimum. But if they don't do that bare minimum, then they're going to have to give up 10% of their GCI money the following month. What I loved about that was either they're going to step up and do the bare minimum, or they're going to self-select off the team. He didn't have to fire, right? The rule fires them, not they fire themselves through the rule, if that makes sense. The penalty box, I love that. Again, here we're talking about time management, and actually what it turned into was a little bit about that, of how to build team. What I'm going to say is when I first went to Vegas, my attitude was bad. I had a bad attitude. I did not want to be there. And I was not looking forward to the trip for a lot of reasons. But then when I got there and was hanging out with people that think at a much higher level, remember that was about 10% of Keller Williams was at that meeting. And what I'm going to tell you is that 10% are the top 10%, or will be in the top 10% of their market. And now what's interesting about me is if you go and say, oh, is he in the top 10% of his market? The answer is going to be no, because I'm in 3 markets. I'm in the Waco market, I'm in the Temple Belton, and I'm in the KILLEEN, Coppers Cove, Harker Heights area. So if you look at my stats, then I think you're going to see that I'm in the top 10% if I was in one of those markets. I am the top 10% of my market center. And so therefore, that right there should say something a lot about why you won't be going to family reunion, is because it changes my attitude to show up big for you, and I bring that stuff to you in your transaction. And agents, when I'm talking to you, when I'm hanging out with you, if you're on my team, you're gonna be pushed to be that kind of person, if that makes sense, a better person. Well, I enjoyed kind of sharing what happened at family reunion. Again, if you are interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate, I would love to talk to you. My phone number is 254-495-5661. Hey, if you don't want to be one of those agents that gets eliminated during the winter, then you need to come hang out with me. I'm willing to share. I'm willing to help you build your business so that when spring shows up, which it will, you're going to have a fabulous business and a great life. You're going to be happening to life and not having life happen to you. So I look forward to sharing with you that the stuff that I learned at Family Reunion 24.